Hi, y'all. I'm Shannon Mitchell, a Black millennial entrepreneur and Amazon bestselling publisher, author, and all natural product manufacturer. I'm a champion for your natural self care, sustainable business care, and overall intentional wellness.
Hey, y'all. I'm Christine Gautreaux, a white social justice advocate, an international speaker, coach, published author, and dancing social worker who helps you upgrade yourself and community care.
Together, we are a podcast rooted in the 8 dimensions of wellness and the co-founders of the Women Connected in Wisdom community.
And we like to get together every week for intentional conversations between us and special guests about how to be wise in business, relationships, and wellness.
All right, y'all. So let's get into it because a lot of you know who Co is, but some of you may not. Okay. So today we have a Women Connected in Wisdom veteran right here, Courtney Dorsey, aka Coach Co. If you know about our books, you know about her. If you've seen the book reviews, you know about her. If you've listened to the audiobook, we don't know Coach Co's voice yet, but yet, y'all. Yet, because she's in volume 2 and it's on the way. So again, we know who Coach Co is. She's been here, but I'm going to break down her bio so that you know why I'm excited to have her as an expert co-host today. Courtney Dorsey is a teacher, writer, and podcaster. She is a native of Louisiana and currently resides in Metro Atlanta. Life Coach Co is a graduate of the historically Black university, Southern University and A&M College, and Christian institution, LeTurner University, obtaining both her bachelor's and master's degrees in psychology in 2012 and 2018. She obtained her Life Coach certification in 2020, and within the same year started her women's blog and live talk show, Talk Sessions with Co, bringing taboo topics in the Black community to open, interactive panel discussions. In 2022, Co transitioned her show into an online podcast of the same name, available on Apple, Spotify, Anchor, and Google. In her leisure time, Co loves to read, watch psychological documentaries, have random dance sessions, and try new restaurants. She is a lover of family, Black excellence, equal opportunities, mental health, and education. She is a proud daughter, sister, aunt, godmother, and friend. Help me welcome Coach Co. Yes.
Spirit fingers.
Yes, yes. And together today, we're again Women Connected in Wisdom. And y'all know we have weekly discussions around wellness, business, how we do all of it on a daily, weekly basis. So when you think about environmental wellness, Co, what's been going on for you?
Environmental wellness.
Mhm.
So when I think of environmental wellness, I think of a veteran that we have, Melody LeBaron. I think
Yes.
about her
Mhm.
as being an expert that helped me with my space.
Ooh,
So one of the things that's big for me is how do I maintain my space the way that's necessary for me to function? So
yeah.
that's what I think about when I think about environmental wellness. Now, of course, I think about God and nature and being in nature and having those walks and quiet time and being able to relax, relate, and release
Mhm.
in nature,
Yes.
which is a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yes, it is.
But I also think about coming home, my next spot from
Yeah.
work, and being able to release when I get here and being able to be the best, highest functioning version of myself in my home.
Yes. So how did Melody help you? Is there something, was it the work that she does and just her talking about it, helping you shift your perspective? Or did she help you with something specific that upgraded the way that you relate to your space?
So Melody did a bunch because she came on Talk Sessions with Coach. She was on the podcast and we discussed environmental wellness, and she introduced me to a new way of feng shui and understanding the differences about it, understanding what it means to come into your home and speak highly, speak positively in your home, understanding that some of the things are alive and well. Now, everybody has their own views about that, but sometimes I do walk into my home and I'm like, I'm home. I mean, I don't like, who are you talking to? It's just me in here, but it feels good. So being able to be connected to your things, not like as in worldly possession of things, but being connected to a space that you spend so much time in.
And I definitely understand what you're saying, definitely believing in God, believing that he provides the space that we occupy. And what Melody talks about, and a lot of the women that we're related to, right? Talking about, and let's say Melody specifically, because we are speaking about her work, that your home is alive and that it wants to partner to you, right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking about Lord of the Rings and the trees talking, picking up hobbits, and like, here we go on an adventure,
I love it.
right?
Yes.
But with propaganda, I'm like, they're telling us something and hiding it in plain sight. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
so I do believe that God created the environments that we're in socially in our lives to better us, right? And the same things for this beautiful earth that we are residing in. So I definitely, it's funny. I was talking to somebody for the nonprofit when I was at Spark at the retail space, right? And I was talking about how I'm nicer to inanimate objects than some people are to other humans. You know what I mean? So
Oh,
thanking the printer, thank you for the services that you do, like all this stuff, because if I didn't have to do it with my hands, I'm thankful for all this stuff. So
gratitude on a higher level. And the lady on, I'm not sure if I remember her name, but she had a show on Netflix where she helps people organize their homes and,
mhm,
get rid of new things. And she talks about thanking the products that you have, like
I think
thanking the
that's where I
share
got it
for doing
from.
the service.
Mhm.
Thank you. Like sometimes you do have to think that, like, oh, my whole life, like thank your phone, man. Like,
No, really.
like for real.
For real. Thank you so much. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Yeah. And like you're saying, like, it's important to position it correctly, right? I'm not idolizing these things, but without a phone, without technology, our businesses would look different. So I'm definitely grateful. And when we're talking about creating a thriving environment using collaboration and unity, right? One thing you were talking about, you said I'm home, well, I'm by myself. I believe I'm never by myself, right? The Holy Spirit is an ever-present counselor and
Okay. Okay.
needed in my environment. Okay.
Yes.
And so I do collaborate with my phone. I do collaborate with these walls, and so grateful in the heat this summer, in the cold in the wintertime, I can be inside and comfortable and cuddled up on my luxurious pillow top bed and all this stuff,
Absolutely.
and not just outside.
Mhm.
So talking about being connected, talking about being grateful. I'm so grateful for our guests today and this conversation that we're going to have, y'all. Again, we're talking about environmental wellness, and I will go into the definition, go into Miss Kathy Baldwin's bio and bring her up so she can join our conversation. Today, what were you going to say, Co? Excuse me.
No, I was just like, yes, yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah. So today, y'all, environmental wellness is supporting your good health by occupying pleasant, stimulating environments that enhance well being. It promotes interaction with nature and also creating enjoyable personal environments, both in and out of your workplace. This includes knowing the types of environments you thrive in and having an intentional relationship with these places, including the earth. And I gave you guys a little hint, right? So excited for her to tell us about the rest of her work. Kathy Baldwin is our guest today, our expert guest. She is a renowned coach and founder of Rise Up Coaching, where she specializes in empowering individuals to overcome personal and professional challenges, including stress and burnout. With a deep understanding of universal laws and innovative coaching methodologies, Kathy has become an unplanned expert in stress and burnout, guiding countless individuals towards personal growth and transformation. Her unique approach integrates energy healing and a profound grasp of the holistic impact of burnout, making her a sought after authority in fostering resilience and well being in the face of stress. Help us welcome to the stage Miss Kathy Baldwin. Hi, Kathy.
Hello, beautiful ladies. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you so much. So happy to have you, and to have this conversation right now is so important. Yeah.
Yes. I was just cheering you on as you were beginning the show and the things that you were talking about. Coach Co, when you were talking about coming home and celebrating your home, it is your space, it is your energy. I was just like,
Yes. Yes. And we talked a little bit about it, Kathy. I didn't tell you that we were talking about interior design, right? Interior design and the importance of your space. When I think about it, I definitely think about Melody LeBaron Co. And I always set up my desk. So today I have this Anaya Naturals candle. Oh, it just went out. But this beautiful candle that goes to beeswax, right? And you can use it as massage oil.
Oh,
Have this
nice.
Yes, have this right here on my desk today, for how difficult of a week it's been, right? And I told you ladies, gave you a heads up, and this is a trigger warning for our listeners because this material can be heavy. I want to take some space and I'm going to set a timer. And this is what I do, y'all, when I'm taking a nap and everything. So y'all see my rest experimentation that I've been working on. But we're going to take a 2-minute moment of silence for Miss Sonia Macy. And we got the news this week that another Black woman called for help, called the police, and felt that there was an intruder. To be honest, I haven't delved into all of the details, right? The stuff I try not to comb through, but I do pay attention to the environment, like we're talking about, environmental wellness. And she called for help, thought her environment was unsafe, thought somebody was in her home or on her property, called the police, and ended up being shot in the face and killed. So we're going to take 2 minutes of silence. And whether this is for her, for you personally, whether it's for yourself, you're driving home from work, doing the dishes, wherever you are, you can use the time how you want. But we're going to take just 2 minutes for ourselves and for Miss Sonia Macy. Okay, y'all. So our timer has gone off. Thank you so much for taking a moment with us. Deep condolences to the Macy family, everybody connected. And we know that mirror, what is it called? I was thinking about it before. Mirror neurons, I think is what it's called, right? When you see something and then if you align with it, it affects you, right? So there's a lot of stuff going on this week. And if you need to take space for yourself. And that's something that I've been doing and have been making space for in any environment that I'm in. And if I cannot make space for myself, and you and I will be talking about this later with using your voice, I take myself out of that space. And I think it's very important, you know. So, Kathy, I want to ask you, as our expert guest, right? We're talking about burnout. We're talking about creating a thriving environment using collaboration and unity. When you help your clients, where do you start with helping them, let's say, prevent burnout when heavy things like this are constant?
That's where we start. We start with the crap.
Yeah.
We start with we all know where we're triggered, where we're sensitive, where we lose our stuff, the things that take us out. And so when we know where we're vulnerable, where we lose our strength, where we lose our alignment, those are the places that we need to heal. And I don't believe in, no offense to anyone who does. I don't believe in talk therapy. I don't believe in re-traumatizing and reliving the past. I believe in identifying it, just like you find the crap in your home and you get rid of it.
Right.
You don't need to look at it and dissect it and figure out where it came from. You just need it gone.
Okay.
And so that's the way I work with my clients. That was how I healed myself, was getting to the root cause and getting rid of it. Taking the charge out.
Okay. So I would love to talk more about that, right? Especially with Cole and I having psychology backgrounds. This is like our jam, right? And when I think about talking through it, I definitely think things should be paired with therapy, right? When we talk, especially heavy things like this, I think the processing table is so important. And because of our history and a lot of the things we have not talked about, I think that sometimes it would benefit to go through it because that might have been the first time that you said everything out loud, or the first time that it's been completely unpacked, so that you can remove it like a tooth that you're getting all the way in there to really take everything out. Can you talk more to why you feel that way?
Well, I suffered with mental health since I was a teenager. I've been in and out of counseling. Everybody knew there was something wrong with me, but we couldn't figure out what it was. And so when people couldn't figure things out, I was just left to try to live with it. And it created disease in my body. It created fibromyalgia. It created adrenal fatigue. I osteoarthritis, lost both of my knees. They had to be replaced. There were so many things that my body was experiencing because those traumas, those stressors were not healed and released. And so for me, when talk therapy did work, and I went to the doctors and psychiatrists, and they gave me what I call pills and platitudes. I was basically told that their job was now only to medicate, and that we didn't get to the root cause. We didn't release the cortisol that was trapped in creating inflammation. We didn't release the energetic charge of all of those traumas. And I was still tied to every single one of those traumas and things that had happened to me over my life.
I hear you.
And so for me, it was in my 50s when I finally got the freedom. And that freedom came from a complete and total breakdown that I lost everything. And so for me, my mission, my message is that life is too important, that every single one of us has a special gift. And if there is something in the way of you being authentically aligned and empowered, that you are not able to bring your gift to the world, because the world needs every single one of us to bring our heart, then we need to get rid of that crap.
Yes. And for those of you who don't know, again, that is Kathy's show, right? Unlearn the crap. So she is saying it very intentionally. And when we say crap, we mean crap. We're talking about all of this stuff that we deal with and unlearning it. What do you have to say?
Well, it's also, just so you know that, and
Yes.
thank you for bringing that up, because I'm so used to this whole language that I sometimes forget that it could be triggering for some people. But
Mm.
if a trigger is happening, then there's something in our body that's saying you need some healing. There's something that's being hit. There's something that's being touched and needing some attention. But crap is not only the excrement that we need to release. So it's that literal word, but it's also an acronym. And it is, oh my goodness. As soon as I get on the spot, I always forget things.
It's okay. We have space for you.
Okay, good. Because it's right here at the top. Come back to me on this one. I'll give you the acronym.
Y'all, the acronym for crap. We have it on the way. No worries. So I was going to ask you, what about your 2 cents on where we are with everything in this conversation?
So, thinking about healing and talking and different things like that, I think that there's a space for both when it comes down to having conversations. My sister and I, we recently had a conversation about how we feel about talking about traumas from the past. Sometimes they have a place in healing, and sometimes rehashing the past is not the best form of psychology for mental health. And I believe that when it comes down to mental health, that sometimes we try to blanket it as we're going to do this for each and every human being, and it doesn't work like that. And so that's one of the reasons why I became a life coach, because I wanted to tailor coaching or helping people with their mental health practices to being more geared towards an individual versus it being a blanket. So I think that as it relates to environment and healing, that those are the things that that you start to figure out as the healing process goes along. Your brain starts to unclutter with, just blocking everything out. And that starts to represent your space. Your space is cluttered because your brain is cluttered. Your feelings and your emotions are cluttered. And once you start that process of decluttering this, other things start to declutter in your life. Can you speak to that, Kathy?
Absolutely. Everything is energy. One of the things I talk about is quantum physics as well as universal laws. And at the root of everything is energy. And if there is any part of our environment that is creating a negative response within you, your body and your cells will feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And whether you're consciously aware of it or not, you are affected by it. And so taking that time to really take a look at your environment internally and externally, because our internal environment can be pretty messy and ugly in there. Sometimes we can say the most horrible things to ourselves within our own heads that nobody else can hear, and we're living in that environment.
Yeah. And when we talk about it, it makes sense, right? We talk about conditioning, we talk about the water we swim in, and we talked about propaganda earlier, when the messages, when the things that happen are telling you that you're not important, you're less important than a pot and some water on the stove. Like if there was like whatever happened, you're less important than this person that's worrying about you going to the bathroom and you're a student in school. Like these things are easy to internalize. And that's why I love having conversations like this, so that we can say, oh, that's what it was. Oh, I wasn't being dramatic. They just didn't have the conversation and I wanted to have the conversation. So I was thinking about talking to Ray Lee, who is one of our Amazon bestselling authors, Ray Lee Dushin. And we were on Zoom earlier this week. She asked me when I felt like it was difficult to use my voice.
Ooh.
Right. And I realized that it's when I'm asking for help and then help is not given, or it's not like the adequate type of help that I need. Right. When it's difficult. And now I'm arguing with you to get the help that I have to be vulnerable to ask for, right? And that's part of the reason why this Sonia Macy is so upsetting, because where can women ask for help? And whether it's emotionally, socially, this is what happens, you know? But so thankful for a space like this to come to people who I know care, who have been doing decades of work themselves, and then said, hey, I needed help. I didn't know where to go. I went, they didn't help me. But now I have a place that you can come. And if you come to my place, you come to Mondays with Coach Co in the email, you're going to get motivated. You know, you go to Learn the Crap with Kathy Baldwin and her website. She has free self-care checklists right there. You know, if you need help going back to the basics, how Sula said in volume 2, we are actively creating these spaces out of the need, you know, to have an environment where we can ask for help and be healthy as individuals, collaborate, and then have healthy unity all together, you know. So I'm super excited about the work that all of us are doing.
Yeah. Shannon, to piggyback off of that, Kathy, I want to go back to something that you said earlier. You were like, everyone knew that something was wrong with you. I want to kind of talk to that language. I think that in understanding who we are and how we heal, and understanding that all of our brains don't function the same. It's the same way of saying the what you were going through is the same situation of, hey, what I'm going through. My brain is functioning different because of my trauma, my personality, my neurotransmitters, the way my brain has developed. In the same way, someone with autism, their brain is functioning. Their development is different. The way they view the world is different. So it was never anything wrong with you. It was your neurodivergence of your brain, the way it functioned, and you were asking for what you needed, and people didn't know how to serve that.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want you to understand that it's never that I'm learning today as a woman, 34 years old, learning that our language that we've been taught, hey, something's wrong with you, something's wrong with you. And even we go into the school system as a teacher, go into the school system, something's wrong with that kid, something's wrong with that kid. But we never try to get to the bottom of what's going on so that I can see. It's not anything, it's not necessarily wrong. It's something that's not functioning the way that it needs to, or something that is not being met. It's the same way your body and your environment is breaking down because something is not right. A plant is, nothing's wrong with a plant. A plant needs something that is not, the need is not being met. And it's the same way for humans. A need is not being met. So as we relay it back to environmental wellness, how do we know inside of us, based on our area, based on our home, when a need is not being met?
Well, that's a really deep question.
I'm a deep sister.
It comes down to, for me, it comes down to know thyself. When we really know ourselves, and that's part of what I believe is the disempowerment messages that we've been taught. And by the way, the acronym is Conditioned Responses Automatic Programming.
I wouldn't have remembered that either. I'm not going to lie to you. It's totally okay. Okay.
Can you say it again? Say it again. Conditioned responses.
It's a little slower.
Automatic programming. So much of the way our bodies and our brains are wired are that the majority of what we do is automatic programming.
Yes.
It's so we can be efficient. We don't need to consciously think about how to breathe or how to make our heart rate or how to walk. Those things have now become automatic.
Right.
And so when so many things are automatic and we start to numb out and we're not aware of the subtleties of our body's language, of our heart, of our soul, of our emotions, when we start becoming consciously aware of what we're feeling, because our emotions are electromagnetic, they are connected to the electric connections of the energy of our world and those around us. We've been proven that our heart will send out an electrical resonance and goes out that's measurable 3 feet. That energy will receive information to our heart and transmit responses before we have a conscious thought about it. Energetically, we are responding to the environment around us. And so if we're not consciously aware, then those automatic programs hit and they take us to a place that either works or doesn't work. And to me, that's where I start with what doesn't work. Then we don't need to pay a lot of attention to what's working. It's good. Let it go. Let's stay on automatic programming.
Right.
But those things that aren't, are you not feeling safe in your home? We'll bring up Sophie.
Sonia Massey. Yes,
Sophie.
Sonia.
But are you not safe in your thoughts? Are you not feeling safe in your relationships? Do you not feel you have a voice? I didn't have a voice. I was taught to be a good girl, and a good girl meant you serve and you take care of everything and everybody around you. And if there was anything left over, then maybe you could get your needs taken care of. Politeness was so more important, and social, the way people saw you was more important than authenticity and honesty. And so when we go far away from ourselves, that we are trying to create a mask and an image to be accepted in the outside world, then we don't want to look at our own selves and judge ourselves on the things that we deem as unacceptable, when there is no such thing except its judgment, because every single thing has its polar opposite. Everything. In order for it to exist, it must have a polar opposite. So you cannot have love without hate. You cannot have light without darkness. You cannot have anything that you want. You can't have abundance without lack. Everything exists with its polar opposite. And so if you are judging your results as negative and judging them, all you have to do is be able to look at the other side. And what you want exists there. But when we're told not to look, ignore it, suppress it. Don't pay attention to your emotions. Don't let them see you cry. Don't let anyone know that you're vulnerable, because then you'll be taken advantage of.
Ooh.
Well, that is not true. Our vulnerabilities are strength. I truly, truly believe that all of the things that make us strong have become the social norms that have told us to not do it, to keep us distant, to keep us part of a system that keeps us in a disempowerment place where we're stuck as workers and consumers.
So that's for
creators.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kathy. Instead of creators, I wanted to know if you were referring to all people. Are you referring to women? Or are you, just everyone in general?
Everyone, everything.
Yeah.
Everyone, everything is alive. I mean, you were talking about being grateful for your cell phone. Do you know that the Heart Math Institute is doing these studies that show that trees are collaborating together? They share resources. That in a forest where the deciduous trees are taking the sunshine in the summer, well, they're protecting the evergreens, and vice versa in the winter. The evergreens are taking the resource and they're sharing it with the root system.
I did not know that. I love that.
I love her face. I love her face. She lit up as soon as she started talking about environment and trees and different things like that. Your face just lit up. Okay.
When I talk about collaboration, this is what made me so sad about the situation that we're talking about, and I don't want to get is that I truly believe that hate and wars could not exist if we were living in collaboration and unity. If we were all in the place where we saw each of our individual, it has to start with ourselves. We have to see it within ourselves, because if we don't see it in ourselves, we're not giving it. And we have to be brave enough to give our gifts. And when we do, how can you not be fully alive and bringing what the world needs? Sorry, I got a little. This whole topic has made me emotional today.
Absolutely. And Kathy, yes, and over here we do not apologize for saying exactly what we mean. So no need for an apology. No need for an apology. And the Sonia Massey situation absolutely makes me feel that way. And that's why I'm giving it some space on the podcast. We talked about before the show, one, not saying that on the show, hating to make the audience feel like we're ever leaving you out of the conversation, right? But we always try to tie it in and let you ladies know where certain stuff came from. But because we're talking about environmental wellness and using our voice and collaboration and unity, what happens when this one person asks for help? Again, that's when I interject. When we're talking about the energy, this is when I would be quiet. How many times can your heart break? How many people are going to pass away? How many young people? How many people who, all the things that we could go into, right? And so because of that, this will be a time I might cancel the podcast, right? Christine is not here as the co-host. She's off celebrating the beautiful life of her dad and able to have family time, which is an honor to be able to hold space. I would have called the podcast. Absolutely. But instead, this conversation is very important to have for this specific moment intentionally, and not intentionally because we wouldn't have known that it was going to land on this week, but because of things like this, it's important.
Can I just say,
please,
that the message must be that we must use our voices.
Yes.
We must no longer be silent when we are feeling fearful. We must bring love and light to these situations, not hatred.
Absolutely.
And we must use our voice and say, this is unacceptable and we are going to do better.
Right. And when I think about being safe to say that, right, because there's multiple layers we can unpack with the conversation that we're having already. And so sometimes it is appropriate to not speak on it, right? We talk about being, sharing from what is it, Lord? A scar instead of a wound. No, we share from a scar, right? So if it's too vulnerable and it's too fresh, I won't share it on a podcast, or I won't share it when I'm speaking. I need to heal and still process it. And I will do that away so that I'm not leading from a place of hurt, right? Leading from an unhealthy place or sharing from an unhealthy place. But if I call Coach Co on the phone and it's volume 2 and we're writing, right? And Kathy, I was supposed to write 2 chapters and I'm telling her how much stress I was under, all this stuff and more emergencies. The team is moving back and forth. And thankfully, Co had the energy. Co wrote the 2nd chapter. And I said, thank you, Lord. Co came in with a 2nd chapter for volume 2 and I didn't have to do it. Literally, just like the trees that you were talking about, Right. But what I want to, go a little more specific into, Kathy, this is what I'm so excited to talk about for my chapter for volume 2, right? When I say intellectual wellness and maximize your capacity, this is not the same as hustle culture. This is not the same as industrialization and capitalism and rest so that you can work more. This is about every person is divine, right? Kathy Baldwin's life matters. Courtney Dorsey lives matters. My life, I don't know if I'm saying this right. My life matters, plural, whatever. You ladies get the point, right? And so for all divine, and God has called us to reach our fullest capacity before our last breath, then this is how we can do it and make the things that need to be habits, the healthy things, the things that spark joy. Let's build that in so it doesn't pull as much willpower, so we can be more effective individually, together, and as a community, and then we can also rest. And that's in there. If you do not rest and celebrate, you are not done. If you did not
How
thank
I
your
feel about
team,
rest.
right? If you did not thank your team, thank you, ladies, for doing this. If you're a one-person
Yes.
team, you're walking into your home sweet home, and as you, yourself, and I, as a businesswoman, thank your team for everything that they've done. It's so important because that's really what life is about.
Hey, y'all, this is a great place to take a break, take a deep breath, and hear from our awesome sponsors that make Women Connected in Wisdom podcast possible. Shannon, we are so grateful that Shayla Glow is the sponsor of the Women Connected in Wisdom podcast. And I wanted to take this moment to ask you, when you think about the people who use Shayla Glow, who are we talking about?
That's a good question. I think about 3 groups really. One, the group that's removing hair, right? So whether you're using laser hair removal, waxing, shaving, you got to make sure that you're putting back what you're taking out. The second group, I think about those with dry skin and the problems that might cause, right? The scars, itching, burning, whatever the situation is, you definitely need all 3 steps, right? The exfoliation, making sure you're taking the dead skin cells off, the oil, putting in the moisture, and then the shea butter with the aloe, sealing it, helping you heal. Those things help both groups, right? And third, for the third group is those with chronic illness. The story is personally from cancer and different diseases that our population is dealing with on a daily basis throughout families as individuals. So I'm thinking about my mom and my grandmother and those around me with the same generational ties, right? And what positive, healthy habits we can start to make sure that we're maintaining our wellness, especially because the skin is like the cape, the exterior, the shield for your immune system. So with COVID, we have to be intentional about covering ourselves. And those are the groups I think about.
I love it. And you know what else I love about your product? It's all natural, handmade, and it smells great, y'all. So
yes, esthetician
yay.
tested. Yes, esthetician tested and approved. Yes. What about you? When you think about your company, what groups of people do you think about?
Well, I work with individual coaching clients, I work in community classes, and with corporate teams. And with all of them, I use a strength-based, embodied approach to help folks connect with themselves and access joy, reduce burnout, and build resilience. Especially during these times, I think we need it. I think we need all the hashtag partnership power we can get.
Yes.
I'll piggyback off of that, Shannon. Collaboration and environment and self.
Yeah.
Speaking on all of them, collaboration in my life, just, calling Shannon and, we're talking, and in the midst of it, I'm like, I don't feel like going to the gym. And she's like, what are you going to work on? I'm like, Core, I can't come up with a routine right now. She's like, oh, I got you. Gave me a routine, 1, 2, 3, just like that, just being able to, and some people might look at that as a simple, but if you don't understand my brain, that's not a simple task for me to always be thinking, because I'm always thinking. So for somebody to make it a little bit easier for me, that makes it so much better. And I had a friend that came to the gym with me pretty much all month. That was so encouraging, because being that I'm an extrovert, I get my energy from people. So that encouragement piece changed my whole environment and outlook on going to the gym, had a better attitude, had a better approach about it. But also, as we go back to talking about being in a home and environment, coming home, I didn't always feel like this about my home. I used to keep it so dark in here. It used to give me so much anxiety to be in here. It felt like a dungeon. And that was something that I talked to Melody about. It used to feel like a dungeon, but, just a pit of, misery, just always, my thoughts ruminating, going over and over in my mind about how I'm not enough, how life sucks, everything is unfair, not making enough money, just attributing all of the things, the outward things of who I was as a person and who I wasn't. And so all of that negative self-talk, it all came, my environment represented that. And the anxiety as it grew, it all represented that. And so to now be able to speak, to say, I love coming home. I love being in here. I love being in my home because of what is the happiness and the peace that's in here. And it wasn't always that way. It talks about how you are connected to the environment and the things around you, and how you can start to see, hey, something is wrong here because these things are out of whack inside of me. And so everything is starting to be a representation of everything being out of whack around me. And that self part of it that you spoke of earlier, that comparison piece of it and being happy with what you have and kind of finding your own system is like, I'm never probably going to be the tidiest person in the world. Just not going to happen. And the more that I sit there and focus on that is of me breaking that connection that I have with my environment. And it's like, it might be messy, but if you come in here, you're going to be like, you have such a homely apartment. You have such a homely place. I kind of like being in here because it's a vibe, even though it's not what you would call Instagrammable. So, it's like, it's crazy what it can be, but it's so connected to who you are. Isn't that crazy?
And, things are so, I've been working on removing crazy from my vocabulary and saying strategically orchestrated because it's too well aligned. Like God is too well aligned, all of them, for me to say that it's crazy, and I saw this picture on Pinterest years ago that said, "Excuse the mess, we live here." So you live in your home, it is not a model apartment that they're going to show all these people. Like it is currently being used every second that you were in there. So I hear what you're saying and I stand in agreement with your comfort.
Yeah, letting it go. Like, I'm in therapy. I talk about therapy avidly. Like I'm an advocate, a huge advocate for therapy, but with the right therapist and having that connection of what you need. Because my therapist, I have a cussing therapist and I'm okay with that. I'm glad that she feels comfortable enough to have conversations with me and understand. But she's always like, you can let it go. You live by yourself. You don't have any children. You're not married.
Right.
So you don't have to have what is your connection to spick and span? And I'm like, that connection piece to my mom, because my mom keeps her house spick and span. It always looks like that. Always. But that's not me. It's never been me. My mom has always kept up everything for us all the time. And so as soon as I went to college, that went all tank down the hill. I mean, it is what it is. But being able to let go of that thought and just say, I'm Courtney. I'm not Liz.
No. And shout out to Liz.
That was freeing, man. That's a voice.
Yes, it's true.
Yes, Kathy, can you talk about that?
That's exactly what I'm talking about, is the judgment that our home is supposed to look a certain way.
Right.
No, it's not. It's supposed to feel the safest, most comfortable, aligned place for you. That's what it's supposed to feel like. And for some people, I remember I worked with this guy and he had so much stuff and paper everywhere. It was stressful for me to go in, but he said at home, his wife couldn't handle his stuff being out everywhere. So at work, he was able to be himself.
No, sir.
So he was able to make it work in his relationship. But because that was where he felt comfortable, was having everything in front of him. He did not want anything in a drawer. He did not want anything in a filing.
Can we do a magnet board on the wall with magnets? Can we do? No.
Nothing on the walls. It all piled up. So it was chaos to me. But it was his happy place. And he was able to have a environment at work that allowed him to function at his best, regardless of whether it was my best. It wasn't.
So, okay, as we go into my last specific questions that I have for you, Kathy, and the wisdom in action, I would love for you to speak to this a little bit more, right? Because we're talking about collaboration and unity. And I love how, as a person who this did not align with how you have your space, you're still holding space for it. He was comfortable though. He was in his happy place, right? For a team, because I would feel the same way as you. What would you say if the leader thrives in piles of paper, but the team does not feel comfortable to come into the office? How do you balance that?
We all have to have our own spaces in our own environments. And it's up to the leader to create a culture that allows for that individuality, where we are all in our best. And rules of should are judgments, and judgments are dreams that sap our energy and sap our creativity and sap all the things that make us human and so special and unique. And so being able to say that this is how it works for me, as long as I'm not being a negative for you, we all have to accept each other. We don't have to be the same because we're not.
Right.
But just there's someone like your mom, Co,
Liz. Yeah.
who wants, there has to be the opposite. There has to be someone like my coworker who wanted it all out there. All out there.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's about acceptance.
And for me, what it reminds me of, right? Because I was having a conversation yesterday about my ability to work under leadership on a team, being a business owner, being a business leader, right? And thankfully, based on my experience, I've been able to move up and down the ladder and can work in different capacities. So what it reminds me of is a time when I was a salary manager. I had a whole desk, right? In a whole corner of an office, I could put up my poster and have my calendar on the wall and all this stuff. Another salary manager position, I just had like a little magazine, little holder where you could put your papers in your planner and make sure you clean it out because it's going to get filled if you don't clean it out often enough, right? To a manager position where I have my bag and the office is going to look however this person wants it to look. And now the space that I can control is my systems with my stuff,
Okay.
but that's how I create, the psychological safety in my environments for myself, depending on the amount of control that I have is okay. This is the space that I have. These are the habits and the functions of the places that I have. And to speak to what you were talking about earlier, like, how do you know? One, I control the part that I have control over, right? Whether it's just my book bag or my bag that I bring to work or my office and letting that be an example or my desk. And literally physical ailments. Rayleigh talks about it in her chapter, how she literally had to get up from medical school. Like she was taking the test and she was physically ill and was like, you know what? I need to walk away. And I had a salary job. I was over 6-figure inventory, getting there at 5 a.m., working crazy hours. And I had to go get an EKG. I said, every time I lean over these boxes, my heart is bothering me. And it's come up too often for me to ignore it now. I need to go get an EKG. And as soon as I left that position, it was fine. I went back to the same organization. My chest started bothering me. I left again, and it was a different location. And so whether it's the item out of place and me having my habits for the workflow, whether I'm cooking or working on something, working on insurance, working on the podcast, I'll set my stuff up differently. Or if it's physically how I feel. I felt like I couldn't breathe. They're telling me not to use my voice. I'm literally having tightness in my throat and my chest. I gotta go. And those are the cues that I was paying attention to.
And that is the main thing that I try to teach all of my clients is when you are out of your own personal alignment, you are going to feel it. Your body will talk to you. And it's when we betray ourselves by not listening.
Ooh.
Yeah. Do
Yes.
you know that during my healing journey, the hardest thing that I had to go through was apologizing to myself for not respecting and honoring myself and putting everyone else first.
Ooh.
That was the hardest part of the journey because I overrode myself. I put myself in positions that hurt me by accepting environments and situations that were damaging. And I no longer will allow that.
Can we give a moment?
That's deep.
Because so that's literally what we do. And that's why we have this podcast, Kathy. That's why I do Shaylo Glow. That's why I do insurance. Because y'all, it literally is killing us. It's killing women. It's killing people. And it does let it go. I
I think
learned
about my back,
that.
man. My back
What do you think
was
about?
just was tearing me up. Like literally, I could not walk anymore. Like I was in Atlanta's airport, and I would take a few steps, and I would have to stop because my back was hurting. I was sweating profusely because
Wow.
I was in so much pain, and I could not walk. And I'm like, just going to work every day, not doing anything about it, just not going to the gym and, working my core, not doing the back exercises that the orthopedic doctor gave me.
Mhm.
Just completely, but you're doing these lesson plans though. You're making
That
sure
part.
this is done.
Mhm.
You're making sure that you doing this and doing that and making sure, and it's just as simple as, come on, man, take care of yourself. You can't walk.
Mhm.
And
And
when your AP comes in and asks you why you're sitting down, when you have an excuse specifically about your back, you don't care about yourself, nobody else will.
what, and Kathy, I see you talking. What came up for me when you said that, Cole, because it's something at the same time that you look like you had something, Kathy, was that it's a reason. It's not an excuse. There's a thin line between a reason and an excuse, right? An excuse is a justification.
Yeah.
We're not being accountable, and you're giving another answer outside of being accountable. But a reason, because when I take more than 15 steps, I get a shooting pain in my back, is a legitimate reason to be sitting down.
Yes.
What are you going to say,
And
Kathy?
I was going to say myself and so many of my clients end up creating disease because it's the only way that we can take care of ourselves. That until we get sick, we do it. We won't take the time.
And I'm over it. And this is what this podcast is about. And so if you're listening, right, this is a gentle reminder. This is your permission slip. This is the gold speaker emoji. Okay. You can put yourself first and they will be better. What about the thing you reach for? They will be even better. And if they're not, then it's not a line and it might hurt, but you can let it go. And guess what? And they will still be okay. And because if you were not here because we took care of other people, that math it doesn't make sense. So consider yourself a permission slip, write it in your mind. You have permission to rest and put yourself first.
Can I just say that one of the ways that I've learned to express this is
Yes.
if you're not independent, you're dependent. And then you're burdened. So if we do not take care of ourselves, if we do not take care of our health, our wealth, our relationships, then we're dependent on somebody else to do it for us. Yeah. And that's where we're totally disempowered. And that's what our society is built on. Our society is built on having all of these ways of breaking us down so that we're dependent upon all of these systems.
Right. And that's what we're rebuilding, right? So that's how it has been. And that's what I'm so excited about talking to you ladies about and building with you ladies, right, for the resources, because we do have to be specific again about where we share. We're not saying that, hey, keep asking for help in unsafe places, make them listen to you, yell at the top of your lungs, flip the table. That's not what we're saying, right? We're saying that acknowledge how it feels in your body, acknowledge the environment and the collaboration, the quality of the unity, and then build those safe places, whether it's with a coworker that's a teacher that you can go tap on the shoulder when you need to talk. I have specific people in specific positions because as a leader, we do have to be mindful of how we lead. And not everything is appropriate to say everywhere, but that doesn't mean that it goes without saying for the next 35 years. Go to your safe space so you can go to the processing table and make sure that we have everything taken care of, and that's what works for me so that we can do both.
Yeah. Learning how to use my voice in the right way. When you're suppressed, your voice sometimes it gets louder and louder and you just blurt it all out wherever
Mhm.
it's at. But there's a balance. And we're going to talk about that on
Mhm.
Instagram,
Mhm.
talking about finding your voice. So definitely meet us over there on Instagram at 7 p.m.
7
Eastern
p.m.
time.
Eastern Standard Time, y'all.
Yes.
And so I look forward to going deeper into that conversation. I know that we are at 59 minutes and we usually try to keep it to an hour, but I really want our listeners to get some of these answers from you, Kathy. So if you're okay, I want to kind of go more specifically than we usually do for questions through these questions so they know why they're going to look for you, know how you're going to help them unlearn this crap, um, Kathy, so that they can be thriving in their environment. We don't just want to survive, right? We want to thrive and enjoy life and have joy and rest well and enjoy all the work that we're doing. So, my first question is, how do you see societal myths misguiding your clients or clients off of their authentic path of fulfillment?
Well, we talked about that earlier, and that is that we were taught it's better to give than receive. It is that we were taught that we're here to serve and putting ourselves last. And we were born to live our lives. We were born to be alive. We
Yeah.
were born to give our gifts, our genius,
Yeah.
our special part. And when we're too busy in anybody else's life, we are denying the world our own unique gifts.
Mm.
And I personally, I know it was societally put into us to do that as a reward, or thinking that this is how you live an honorable life. But it's not true. We all have a purpose and we all have a meaning, and we need to give it.
Yes. Yes. I love it. Okay. Again, more specifically than usual, my next question. I love on your website how you talk about wins, right? I usually say win-win-win situations, but you're talking about quadruple wins. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about what you mean when you say that?
Well, I believe in a 4X win. And actually, I'm in the process of incorporating, and that's the name of my corporation, 4X win.
I love it.
And yes, I do too. So the 4 wins are: first, a win for me. And I need everyone to know that that is a big thing, that I am putting myself first. And I
Yes.
encourage everyone to put themselves first. The second win is the win for you, for who else you're in this world with,
Yeah.
our conversation here. The third win is who we are touching, our clients, our collaborators, our people that we are connecting with. And the fourth and most important win is the collective win for all. And when we have a 4X win, I cannot imagine a world where anything other than pure creative joy, love, peace, passion, purpose, prosperity thrives.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I completely agree with you and am super excited. And I know I keep saying it, but super excited to be building this post-traumatic growth. That's what I believe that we're doing, and it exponentiates when you do things like that. So it's, people tell us that we're at the cutting edge of wellness and being intentional about these things. And I get surprised. And then I hear all these stories and saying, I wonder what the ladies are going to be saying about all these resources in 100 years, all these videos and everything. So I hear
Well,
what you're
just
saying.
quickly on
Yes.
that, Nikola Tesla
Mm.
proved years ago that all of the energy was available to us right here, right now. We can tap into it and we can create anything. And Albert Einstein was talking about the future of medicine and the future of the world all being in energy. When we tap into the energy we're creating, the three of us that we're sending out into the world, this is creation.
Yes. I love it. I'm just giving a moment because I'm for it. Okay. I love it. I'm so excited. Okay. So the next question, we're talking about actively engaging, right? Next, we'll go to our wisdom in action, and I'll be asking you ladies what you're doing intentionally for yourself, for your environmental wellness this week. But for my last question for you, Kathy, what does your personal timeline of implementation look like as a TV show host and a business leader? How do you keep yourself on track?
Well, I batch. Recently, I learned about human design
Yeah.
and learned who I was, which was a huge pivotal thing for me because so many times I labeled things that I had done as failures. But as soon as I came and understood who I am authentically and who I and I it resonated, I thought I need to create in big batches, and then I need to allow myself to rest because I'm a manifester.
Mhm.
And so that's why I say when we know who we are in whatever form of information that means to you,
Right.
whether it's meditation, prayer, or just getting to know your own body, your own senses, your own feelings. And then you work within your strengths. So I batch things. And when I go on these big creative spurts, I can go for hours and days, and then I crash. And I got myself sick when I tried to be straight all the time and consistent and
Yes.
productive. Well, that's what machines and robots are for, not human beings.
Not human beings. I hear you. Yes, and same thing, human design definitely helped. Um, oh, I don't have endless energy supply. I definitely do great when other people around me keep working, but batching helps me. And for those of us who don't know what batching is, right? For example, we're talking about this being the first episode of season 20, right? Each season has 9 episodes. So I try not to make each graphic for each episode the day of the episode, right? Go ahead and knock out all the graphics that you have everything ready, follow up with the guest at one point, and then you can come back and, follow up with any other details. But it really helps me not be as anxious, not be as overwhelmed, and I can look forward to it and have fun because I know the really important things are taken care of and already set up.
Absolutely. And it goes along with universal laws. One of the universal laws is the law of rhythm. Well, we have seasons, we have times, we have moon phases. Everything cycles in and out. And when you know where your in time is, that's when you utilize that energy. And when you are cycling into a rest period, allow yourself to rest. But knowing yourself and aligning with yourself and then working within your particular strength and your particular environment.
Yeah. And that's such a powerful place to come from. Um, And Co, I have a question for you, and then we can go to wisdom and action. But what I want to say before my question is that, especially as women in America, right? Especially as a Black woman, like I'm super excited, y'all. I just sent off my 23andMe kit. My best friend, shout out to Deanna, shout out to Dallas, got me a 23andMe kit for my birthday, 31 years old, right? And I do not know my genealogy. So I know I'm beautiful. But everybody who's from anywhere, they always want me to be from where they're at, right? And it's more important than being from Haiti or Africa or Ghana's in Africa, right? But it's more important than being from these places. Is just being a person that's well taken care of, that's whole and healthy from wherever I'm from. And that's what I want for everybody around the world. But sometimes when you don't know your hair texture because you're told that you should perm it, when you don't know your personality because you're told that you're supposed to be there for everybody else and never met yourself, there can be this gap that people miss when they mention that. But just like prioritizing yourself, I want this to be a gentle reminder and encouragement that no matter if you know all of your family, your DNA, why this person is talking to you crazy, whatever it is, you deserve a safe space, even if it's inside you, inside your home, if it's your bag and the place that you work, you deserve a safe space and to be well taken care of. And if you need support, we have amazing ladies like Kathy Baldwin and Coach Co who have built programs, decades of tenure, decades of research back and experienced back platforms for you to get connected to so you can forgive yourself, so you can be whole within yourself, collaborate with those around you. And like Kathy is talking about with this 4X win, have the unity that we want to see, but in a healthy way. I believe it's possible, and I look forward to it. Yes. So, Cole,
Creating.
I'm sorry, what'd you say, Kathy?
I said that's what we're here creating.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So, Cole, as a teacher, I love that you teach me so much. You teach our ladies so much. You teach the students, which is huge with the season that we're going through for the last 4 years. How do you stay intentional about staying centered as a teacher and a community leader?
Centered. I want to know can you give me a definition of centered so I can know exactly how to answer your question?
I love it. So, and we do official definitions at Women Connected, and maybe we need to come
Yes.
up with this one. But what I think about is, how do I stay in power, right? Jenna Banks talks about power tank. So how do I keep my power tank full? You were talking about the cup, right? Ayana talks about serving from your saucer and not the cup, right? So I'm talking about a full power tank, serving from the saucer, not pouring from your cup because you are full and overflowing, and then able to operate from a neutral place. So you're not judging yourself. You're able to notice what's going on, respond and not react, and notice and support from a non-judgmental place of those around you. That's what I think about.
Okay. So, honestly speaking,
Mhm.
it took time. Because as a teacher, I wanted to get it right. Let me take that back. As Coach Co, I wanted to get it right. I'm big on getting things right. And so I'm like, I'm responsible for little people. I can't come in here less than perfect. I need to be perfect. I mean, that's not what I was saying in my mind, but my actions spoke to working from a perfectionist mindset. Trying to get the lessons, trying to get this, making sure time management, trying to be organized, doing all those different things like that. And I had never been in a job where I had to be that efficient. So it was difficult. So I asked a lot of questions from veteran teachers that were open to sharing their stories. I did a lot of research, like read books and listened to podcasts. And I prayed a lot. I prayed a lot.
Yeah.
That was probably the biggest thing, is praying, because sometimes I have to take a moment to pause. And whether people call that meditating or thinking before you act or different things like that, I had to kind of pray before I made decisions or did things. And so it kind of was like, I couldn't be impulsive. And as a teacher, that was my centering: impulsivity, making decisions based off of how I'm feeling now and not based off of what's going to happen later. I'm saying yes to everything, and by the end of the day, I'm burned out. I'm saying, yeah, oh, yes, I can come to this training. Yes, I can cover you for this. Oh, yes, I can go to this game. I can do this, do that. And then my cup is like super empty and I'm not myself anymore. My personality has depleted. So taking time to say a slow yes or a slow no to, instead of a fast yes and a fast no. Because you can get to the point as a teacher where you're saying no to everything. No, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I just want to sleep. I don't want to do anything. No, because now you're only living your life for the job. So I started to give myself a slow yes and a slow no. Give myself time to think about my answers before I do things. Give myself time to think before I say I'm going to stay late today or come in early tomorrow or do these things, because I had to check my capacity for everything.
Yes. Beautiful. Thank you for that. And Kathy, I meant to make space and ask you earlier, are you okay?
My throat is really dry, so
Okay.
forgive me that if I'm coughing, it's just really dry.
It's
That's okay.
okay. And, we always
There's
gotta check
something in
in.
the air, guys. There's something out there. My allergies have been acting up too. There's something out there. I don't know what it is.
And let's talk about it. So, y'all, we are wrapping up environmental wellness, and this has been a beautiful conversation to run long on. I said, as promised, we would talk about our wisdom in action. And Kathy, let me know if you want to go first as our guest or if you want to go last. But I want to know what you ladies are doing. I see you intentionally for your environmental wellness this week. What are you working on?
Okay. My environment right now that I'm concentrating on is my body. My body got very, very sick for a very long time. And so I've been in a process after I did my emotional healing and my mental healing and all of that. Now I'm cleaning up what happened to my body through that.
Yeah.
And so I am walking. I'm
Congratulations.
not drinking wine. I miss wine.
I'm so scared.
And I have a list of stuff that I love that doesn't love me. So I understand what you mean.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I miss that, but I have to admit that it made my body hurt, and so I'm cleaning up. I'm cleaning up the things that were bad habits or
Yeah.
things that I was so used to just doing because they were socially acceptable. You know, you come home from work, you have a drink, or you know, one of my bad habits was sugar. When I
Mhm.
Mm,
didn't know how to deal with emotions, I would go to ice cream and cookies. And so, learning that my environment is, I'm living in it.
Yes.
And I have to be really cognizant of the choices and decisions I make to my own environment.
Super proud of you. How far you have come.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. Of course. What's your wisdom in action?
wisdom in action is prayer for the week. Just gotta continue to pray for everyone around us. There's a lot going on with the
Yes.
elections, with the changes, with Miss Sonia Massey,
Yeah.
with that family environment. There's so many people that are grieving and hurting from loss this season that I've talked to, that I know. And so my my goal, and just with the economy changing and affecting so many different people and lives changing and lifestyles changing, it's impacting so many different people in so many different ways. My goal is to be very intentional about praying for people.
Yes. And you have been. And I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes, and I love that. I have some hashtags that I thought they were gonna be through our show. I have hashtag know thyself. That was so good
Mm,
when you said that, right, Kathy? Hashtag live our lives. I definitely think about living before I die. Like, you don't know which day it's gonna be, and today I'm gonna enjoy my life. I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna spark joy. But what just came up for me when you were speaking, I think this is really what I've been working on centering my actions around is hashtag stay in tune.
mm,
All right. So I have playlists on Spotify. I have a money playlist that I do when I do my money management. I have a running playlist, right? That's my Glow Baby playlist. I also have a tuning playlist. And I like to make sure I'm in tune with the vibrations I feel like I'm supposed to be on, right? With God, being prayerful, staying prayed up, and in the right attitude based on all the news that we constantly get. So as I pivot and start nailing down the next season of logistics, I want to stay authentic, right? I need to keep my non-negotiables, my self-care in every day. And that's realistic. Even if sometimes it's like, oh, this can move. No, we're going to stay in tune. We're going to stay in line. And that's
hmm
what I'm doing for my environmental wellness this
Love it. I love
week.
it.
Yes. Well, Kathy, and I knew when we met that this would be a beautiful conversation, but I have so enjoyed you being a guest on our show.
Me too. Thank you so much for having
You're
me.
welcome.
I'm
These
learning with that.
conversations are so, so important. And I think you talked about it before the show started,
Yeah.
that I believe that it is so critically important that women especially band together, because
Yes.
it is our ability to lock hands and be there for each other and come back to creating our tribes and our communities and our families where we're there for each other all
So
around the world.
yes.
Absolutely.
And if you guys are watching, you see the website here, then would it still be, it would still be www, right? Unlearnthecrap.com. Or
You
is
know
it
what?
only
Sometimes
domain?
WW makes things a mess.
We
Okay.
don't
But
we
yes,
don't we don't do www no more. We
Okay.
just type in this the beginning, unlearnthecrap.com.
Wow.
Don't be messing stuff up by typing in www. That is so 2008.
Excuse me. 20 years behind. This is why you need women connected in wisdom. I just unlearned something else, y'all. So, right, https://unlearnthecrap.com is Kathy Baldwin's website. Please go visit. She has a freebie. Again, this is a self-care checklist. Kathy, is there anywhere else you would love our listeners to reach out to you so they can stay in contact?
well, I would love if they would join my conversation on Unlearn the Crap TV. I go live every Thursday at 4 p.m., and that is all across Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire. It is interactive, and so everybody's voice is welcome. Everybody is part of that 4X, and so I would love that. And all of my other resources, you can find me at kathybaldwin.me.
Absolutely. And we'll put it in the show notes for you guys. Well, Kathy, looking forward to staying connected.
Yes.
Thank you so much again for joining us for the beginning of season 20.
Yes, it was been my honor. Thank you so much. I've enjoyed this conversation, and I wish we could continue talking.
Oh, we will. We will. It's on the way. Wish granted,
That's
okay?
on Instagram. You come on
Right.
our Instagram.
Yeah.
I gotta get better at Instagram.
Okay. We'll talk about it. We've been working on the platforms, y'all. I just got on TikTok. We're unlearning and learning new things all the time. But okay, Kathy, we will talk to you soon. I'm looking forward to
Thank
staying
you.
connected. Of
Thank you
course.
so much.
You're welcome. Whew, Cole. This has
Yes,
been so good.
it has been.
It's been so good. I was talking to Tati from Spark, and she was saying how social media is education, you know, and I'm so thankful to be connected to the educators, connected to the teachers. And I'm so honored that y'all are okay with me teaching and speaking beside you. I'm like, if the teachers like me, I'm good, you know. People
That's
who work in the
right.
hospitals, I'm good. I'm good
Yes,
everywhere.
the essential workers. If the
Come
essential
on.
workers are messing with you,
Hmm.
and we know we got nurses, we got occupational therapists and
Yeah.
speech therapists and all of them out there,
Hmm.
they rocking with you, then you rocking with the bed.
Right. And mind you, I was gonna say I was mad. But I noticed, noticed that the restaurants was left off of this essential workers list. And I was glad that I got a chance to hop out, but we were not talking about the restaurants and the servers. And y'all know Georgia never closed because we don't know how to cook. I don't know. You know, we got to get
Yes,
connected to the resources. So
yes,
thank you guys for everybody who has been putting in the work. And
mhm.
it's okay if you're not okay. You know, it's okay if you need to forgive yourself. Get connected. We've given, you know, a long episode. I hope you guys got a lot out of it. Let us know what your takeaways are on your favorite podcast platform. Is there anything else we would like to share with our listeners before we say see you next time?
I just want to say that you guys are loved. You know, I know that sometimes it's hard to look at that with a world that doesn't see you beyond the camera, doesn't see you, and you can't feel it sometimes because you're going through different transitions in your life.
Yes.
And maybe it feels like, oh, because you don't have this type of bag or you don't have this because everybody always put in their song, you ain't got no bag, you ain't got these. But at the end of the day, man, you are a person and a human being and you have value.
Yes. You are
Straight
priceless.
up. You're going to come to
Priceless.
Instagram. We're going to be talking about finding your voice, and you're going to come with us at 7 p.m. Eastern time and hang with us on Instagram, okay?
Yes. Yes, you are loved. And thank you for joining us. We'll see you live at 5 next week. In the meantime, don't forget,
Be well.
be wise, and be whole. Talk to you guys soon. Peace.
Thanks for listening. This has been the Women Connected in Wisdom podcast. On air live on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern via Facebook and YouTube. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Be part of the conversation and get connected at womenconnectedinwisdom.com.